On a late autumn afternoon, the sky over Melbourne was covered by a thin veil of clouds, with pale golden sunlight streaming through the massive glass panels of Aurora Grand Mall, casting reflections onto the mirror-like marble floor. The crowd flowed in and out in a steady stream, each footstep catching a glimmer of light. A low, smooth engine sound, like the breath of a predator, rumbled softly. A jet-black Aston Martin DBS Superleggera glided into the VIP parking area, reserved only for those with absolute power here. Its license plate read 3 letters: Cole. Adrian Cole, 48 years old, with a solid build and neatly combed salt and pepper hair, opened the car door and stepped out calmly. Yet every feature radiated an indescribable authority. A perfectly fitted black polo, premium jeans, and a Patek Philippe watch on his left wrist. Nothing flashy, but anyone observant would recognize it as silent wealth. He paused momentarily, letting his eyes sweep over the vast building, one of the crown jewels in the Cole Holdings empire that spanned the Asia-Pacific region. A faint tilt of a smile crossed his lips, but his gaze was cold, as if measuring the very heartbeat of the space before him. Today there was no secretary by his side, entourage, tie, or tailored suit. Only Adrian, alone, walking into a secret inspection. For months, he had been receiving troubling reports from customers, anonymous staff, even unsigned messages that some tenants here had turned luxury into a facade for prejudice and discrimination. Regional managers had all downplayed the incidents, calling them misunderstandings. Adrian didn't trust reports filtered through layers of management. He trusted his own eyes. And today, the truth would be revealed. Passing through the main glass doors, he was immediately met by the cool air-conditioned breeze, laced with a faint scent of Dior Ombre Nuit. Display counters glittered under spotlights. The click of high heels echoed on the floor, and discreet glances slid toward him, a black man appearing in a world of Hermes bags and Richard Mille watches. Adrian knew full well he wasn't here to shop. He was here to see if Aurora Grand Mall, his prized child, truly deserved its reputation for class and fairness. And he also knew some things only surfaced when the hidden owner became an anonymous customer. From the hallway paved with white stone polished to a mirror shine, Adrian Cole slowly walked toward the floor-to-ceiling glass doors of Regalia Couture, the most luxurious fashion boutique in the Central District. The store's lighting was delicately tuned, casting reflections over handcrafted Italian suits and haute couture gowns adorned with Swarovski crystals, each encased under protective glass. But within that halo of opulence, Adrian saw something else. Behind the polished walnut cashier counter, a lane across the store manager stood perfectly, her lips curved into a refined smile. She leaned forward to offer a white couple chilled champagne, her right hand signaling a staff member to escort them into the VIP fitting room with wine-colored velvet drapes. Her voice was as smooth as silk. "If you need anything else, just call me." But as soon as the VIP door clicked shut, Elena's expression shifted, cold, sharp, calculating. She returned to her desk, glanced quickly toward the entrance, and froze. A young black man, in his early 20s, dressed neatly in business attire, had just walked in. The smile on Elena's lips vanished, as if it had never existed. She remained seated, no drink offered, no greeting. Instead, she gave a slight jerk of her chin toward the far end of the store, her voice icy. "Everything's priced as marked. Browse on your own." From outside, Adrian observed everything not with the eyes of a shopper, but like a hunter watching prey. Every gesture, every word, every flicker of Elena's face was etched into his memory. His right hand slipped quietly into his pocket, unlocking the voice recorder app on his phone. His voice was barely above a whisper, just enough for himself to hear. "This isn't poor service. This is blatant discrimination." Inside, the young man picked up a suit to try, but Elena had already turned her back as if he didn't exist. Another staff member caught sight of the scene, a flicker of discomfort crossing their face, but they, too, lowered their head and silently folded clothes. Adrian exhaled slowly. He knew that he would no longer be the observer with just one more step inside. He would be the next target. Adrian Cole gently pushed open the glass door of Regalia Couture. The entry chime rang a clear ting, but he received only a brief, measuring glance from Elena Cross, cold and assessing instead of a welcoming greeting. No offer of water, no "How may I help you?" Adrian stepped deeper into the space, filled with the scent of expensive perfume, golden-plated steel racks, and spotlights illuminating each item like a work of art. He stopped before a silver-gray Italian overcoat. Its cut sharp, the cashmere fabric soft as smoke. The small tag read 7,000 AUD. Adrian lifted it lightly, turned back the lining, his fingers gliding over the evenly spaced stitches the way a seasoned expert would. Which, of course, he was. Elena's voice rang out half gentle, half probing. "This piece is $7,000, sir. Do you have a store credit card?" Adrian didn't look up. "Number I can pay in cash." Her eyes immediately darkened, the smile vanishing. Her voice dropped, but each word was deliberate. "Large cash payments must be verified. Store policy." Adrian tilted his head slightly, his gaze calm yet deep. "I'm quite familiar with retail policies." Elena let out a short, derisive laugh loud enough for a few nearby customers to turn their heads. "Familiar? Are you sure you understand our price range? This isn't the kind of fashion accessible to just anyone." She stepped forward as if to block him from the racks holding the most expensive pieces. Then, unexpectedly, Elena spoke a line that carried across the store. "Perhaps you should try the shop on the ground floor. They have options more suited to you." The surrounding chatter died down. A strange silence settled over the space, thick with silk, glass, and tension. Adrian placed the coat back on its rack, his movements slow, deliberate, as if each second was calculated. But before he could say a word, Elena turned and signaled to security. "Rodriguez, over here. I think we have a problem." Adrian's hand tightened around the phone in his pocket, the recording app still running. He knew the game had just officially begun. Rodriguez, the security guard of Regalia Couture, approached with hesitation. His eyes flicked from Adrian to Elena, silently asking, "Is this necessary?" But Elena gave him no chance. She crossed her arms, her voice carrying across the store. "I will need you to empty all your pockets for inspection. We have a strict policy for suspicious customers." The air instantly froze. Shoppers browsing nearby stopped in their tracks. A few discreetly lifted their phones to record. An elderly white woman near the handbag counter shook her head in quiet disapproval. Adrian slowly placed his phone, still recording, on the counter, then one by one removed. A handcrafted leather wallet, a black American Express Centurion card, and the keys to an Aston Martin. Each item made Elena's eyes flicker for a moment. But instead of stopping, her voice turned even colder. "Counterfeits are everywhere these days. Don't think these prove anything." Jenny, a young staff member nearby, could no longer hold back. "Miss Elena, this is going too far." Elena spun around, her tone like a blade. "Mind your work, or find another job." Rodriguez took a deep breath, as if about to speak, but stepped back instead. Elena picked up the phone, still locking eyes with Adrian. "I need to report suspicious activity. This customer claims to be wealthy, but his documents don't match the reality." Adrian stood motionless in the center of the store, as though on public display for auction. He could feel every stare, every whispered word, the humiliation laid bare like a performance. But in the deep brown of his eyes, there was no shame, only calculation. He picked up his phone and walked out of the store. No words, no glance back. But the moment his leather shoes touched the marble floor of the central concourse, Adrian dialed his assistant. "Mira, cancel all my appointments for today. We have an emergency at Aurora Grand Mall." Behind him, the sound of Elena's high heels and her mocking laugh still echoed. But Adrian wasn't listening anymore. In his mind, there was only one thought. Tomorrow, she'll be pulled out of here, in front of the cameras. Less than 30 minutes after leaving Regalia Couture, Adrian Cole was in the glass-walled conference room on the 6th floor of Aurora Grand Mall, the executive offices of Cole Holdings, located right inside the shopping center. The long walnut table gleamed under the cool white LED lights. Seated around it were his four most trusted people: Mira, executive assistant; Jordan Lee, head of legal; Samantha Wu, communications director; and Victor Hale, head of system-wide security. Adrian didn't waste time. "We have a serious problem at Regalia Couture. I just witnessed blatant discrimination firsthand. I have all the evidence recorded. I want every second of footage from the last 2 hours, every camera angle." Victor nodded, his fingers flying across his tablet as he instructed the tech team to pull video from the mall's hidden 4-Kelvin surveillance network. Jordan opened his laptop, his gaze icy. I've reviewed Regalia's lease terms. They signed the absolute non-discrimination clause. If we can prove a violation, we can terminate immediately and demand damages. Mira slid a thick folder toward Adrian. This is the list of customer complaints from the past 18 months. At least 12 cases are directly linked to Elena Cross. Most were brushed aside by the regional manager. Adrian flipped through a few pages, his eyes narrowing at lines like asked to prove income before trying on clothes, followed around the store, and service refused by staff. Samantha cut in. On social media, the hashtag Regalia Shame is starting to spread. A female customer just posted a video of Elena telling you to empty your pockets. Shares are climbing fast. Adrian leaned on the table, his voice low but unyielding. Good. Let it spread. But I want to control the narrative. Prepare a communications plan, but don't release anything until I say so. We're going to hit once, and it has to take them down instantly. Victor looked up. What are you planning? Adrian leaned back in his chair, the corner of his mouth lifting not a smile, but the signal of a coming storm. Tomorrow, I'm going back, but not as a customer. The next morning, Melbourne's sky was a silver-gray drizzle falling like a fine mist over the massive glass facade of Aurora Grand Mall. A man in a charcoal gray suit, deep blue tie, and neatly combed hair walked into the shopping center with the composed air of an administrative inspector. In his hand was a dark brown leather document case, clipped with a notepad bearing the Cole Holdings Department of Tenant Compliance logo. No one at Regalia Couture recognized him as Adrian Cole. His pace was measured, his gaze fixed on every detail. Today, Adrian was Daniel Moore, a corporate compliance inspector, there for a routine evaluation. When Elena Cross saw him, her demeanor shifted instantly. Her tone softened, her expression turned polished and professional. Welcome, Mr. Moore. It's an honor to have a representative from Cole Holdings here. I'll provide any information you need. Adrian offered a faint smile and a nod. Thank you. But first, I'd like to observe how the store operates on a normal morning. Elena nodded, a glint of confidence in her eyes. She thought this was her chance to score points with upper management, showcasing her skill in handling customers she deemed unsuitable. It took Adrian less than 10 minutes to see it. An older black couple entered, the wife speaking in a gentle voice. We're looking for a suit and an evening gown for our 40th wedding anniversary. Elena didn't smile. She didn't offer water. She didn't ask questions. Instead, she dropped a curt line. Formal wear here starts at $3,000. If you'd like to try anything on, we require proof of income and a credit check first. Adrian knew without a doubt this was a fabricated rule. Every mall policy was in his head, and no such requirement existed. The husband said quietly, We've shopped here many times before. Elena shrugged, her gaze passing over them as if through frosted glass. That doesn't guarantee anything. Perhaps you should try the shops downstairs. Adrian silently recorded the entire exchange, every word, every look, every gesture. When the couple left with downcast expressions, Elena turned to Adrian, lowering her voice as though sharing a secret. You see, this is the same type of customer I dealt with yesterday. We have to maintain standards. Adrian wrote one last line in his notebook. She has just signed the death warrant for her career. Just one day later, every employee at Regalia Couture received an urgent notice from the mall's management. Mandatory meeting. All staff must attend. Conference room, 5th floor, 9 a.m. Elena Cross sat in the front row, wearing a form-fitting black tailored dress, her blonde hair perfectly styled, a presentation remote in hand. On her laptop, the opening slide displayed the title, Proactive Customer Evaluation. Strategy for Protecting Brand Value. She was certain this was her chance to showcase her management skills, already envisioning herself being recommended for the regional director position. The conference room slowly filled. Not only were Regalia's employees present, but also managers from other stores, local media representatives, several prominent figures from the Black community, and even television cameras quietly adjusting their lenses. At exactly 9 o'clock, the door opened. A man in a charcoal Tom Ford suit entered with a steady stride, his eyes sweeping across the room. Elena frowned slightly. He looked familiar. Very familiar. The man set a leather briefcase on the table, looked up at the room, and spoke in a deep, clear voice. "Good morning. I'm Adrian Cole, CEO of Cole Holdings, owner of Aurora Grand Mall, and the customer who, 2 days ago, was humiliated inside Regalia Couture." The room froze. A murmur spread quickly. Elena's face went pale, her grip on the remote so tight her knuckles turned white. Adrian opened his briefcase, pulled out a small remote, and pressed a button. The massive screen behind him lit up, playing footage from the day he entered Regalia. Elena's voice rang out, each word crisp. "Someone like you doesn't belong here. Perhaps you should go down to the ground floor." The video continued her ordering him to empty his pockets, then calling to report suspicious activity. Elena's face filled the screen with every sneer, every dismissive glance. Adrian turned, his gaze locking on her. "That day, I wasn't just a customer. I am the owner of this building, and you violated the strictest clause in your lease, the absolute non-discrimination policy." He clicked to the next slide, financial damage reports, a list of customer complaints, and excerpts from internal emails in which Elena bragged about removing unsuitable customers. The room fell into a suffocating silence. All eyes were on Elena, while the camera lenses missed nothing. "Right here, right now," Adrian's voice was steel. "Regalia Couture's lease at Aurora Grand Mall is terminated. Elena Cross, you are dismissed immediately for blatant discrimination and causing severe harm to the brand." 2 security officers moved toward Elena. She sat frozen, eyes wide, lips moving soundlessly. Adrian stood still, watching not with gloating satisfaction, but with the gaze of a man who had just laid the first stone in building a change far greater than this moment. News of Elena Cross being fired on the spot at an Aurora Grand Mall meeting spread with lightning speed. Within just 6 hours, the video recorded by a local journalist had surpassed 3 million views on social media. The hashtag #RegaliaShame shot straight to Australia's #1 trending spot, then spilled over into the UK, the US, and New Zealand. Outrage filled the comment sections. "This is why so many black people hesitate to step into luxury stores. Respecting customers is not a privilege, it's an obligation. Thank you, Adrian Cole, for standing up and acting." 2 days later, the Federal Court of Australia received a class action lawsuit from 27 customers who had experienced discrimination from Elena and Regalia staff. Many brought receipts, emails, and videos proving they had been denied service or subjected to absurd proof of income demands. Cole Holdings' legal department also filed an official notice to terminate Regalia Couture's lease and a claim for damages over violating the non-discrimination clause, totaling 3.8 million AUD. Elena's personal life unraveled swiftly. The press dug into her career history, uncovering a trail of buried complaints. Her husband filed for divorce just a week after the incident, and her daughter, bullied by classmates, was forced to take a leave from school. That evening, national television aired a special report, "The Darkness Behind the Glittering Storefronts," featuring Adrian Cole speaking calmly about his experience and stressing, "I am not seeking personal revenge. I am seeking justice for everyone who has silently endured this." The case became a hot topic in Parliament. A group of MPs proposed the Retail Equality Act, requiring all luxury retailers to maintain monitoring systems and regularly report discriminatory behavior, with heavy penalties for violations. Adrian received hundreds of interview requests from international outlets. On one talk show, when asked how he felt watching Elena escorted out of the meeting room, he replied, "That was not the end. It was the beginning." The Elena Cross incident didn't just shake Aurora Grand Mall, it sent shockwaves through Australia's entire luxury retail sector. Less than a month after the termination video went viral, the Australian Parliament officially passed the Retail Equality Act, the first law requiring all retail stores and chains to provide at least 60 hours, year of mandatory training on anti-bias and anti-discrimination for all employees. Establish an anonymous feedback system for both customers and staff, with reports sent directly to an independent oversight committee. Install AI analytics on security cameras to detect service refusals based on personal characteristics, race, or appearance. International retail corporations with branches in Australia were forced to adapt quickly. Many global brands invited Adrian Cole as a special advisor to improve service culture. He set new service standards and demanded a secret shopper system, hiring individuals to randomly test customer service and report directly to upper management. Trade conferences in Sydney, Brisbane, and Perth all devoted special discussion panels to the Adrian Cole case as mandatory study material. The Melbourne Business School added it to its brand management curriculum titled From a Moment of Humiliation to a Retail Industry Revolution. At Aurora Grand Mall, the service culture visibly transformed within weeks. New employees were trained to welcome every customer with the same standard of respect, regardless of what they wore, what car they drove, or where they came from. Adrian didn't stop there. He founded the Cole Foundation for Consumer Justice, providing free legal assistance to anyone facing discrimination in a retail environment. Within 6 months, the foundation had helped over 120 customers win lawsuits or secure compensation. When a reporter asked why he didn't just let the matter fade away, Adrian replied, "If I stay silent, hundreds, thousands more will go on suffering without anyone knowing. I can change that, and I choose to use it." 3 years after the Regalia Couture incident, the East Wing of Aurora Grand Mall shone brighter than ever. In the place that had once been a symbol of discrimination, a new golden sign gleamed. Aurora Unity Fashion. Outside, hundreds gathered for the grand opening. The media pressed in, cameras panning slowly across joyful faces, longtime customers, community leaders, and even people who had once been victims of unfair service. Jenny Tran, the young employee who had bravely spoken up for a customer, now stood in a white suit as the store's general manager. Beside her was Rodriguez, the former security guard who had witnessed the incident, now serving as head of the customer experience. They smiled and shook hands with the first guest to walk in. In the crowd, Adrian Cole appeared navy suit, no security entourage. He held a pair of golden scissors as he approached the podium. 3 years ago, this place was a symbol of exclusion. Today, it is a symbol of welcome. Justice is not just punishing an individual. Justice is changing the system so no one else has to endure the same thing. Applause rolled through the room like waves, but Adrian wasn't finished. He looked straight into the television cameras. We cannot control how others see us, but we can control how we treat one another. And from this day forward, every customer who walks through these doors will be welcomed as the most important person here. He cut the red ribbon. The glass doors swung open, revealing a brightly lit interior where every staff member smiled genuinely, without prejudice. In a small suburban apartment outside Melbourne, Elena Cross watched the opening ceremony on television. She wore simple clothes, her hair tied back, her face lined with the marks of time. 3 years of probation, multiple lawsuits, and a broken family each had left scars that could not be filled. She had written dozens of apology letters to Adrian but never sent one. During interviews, a reporter asked Adrian if he had forgiven Elena. He replied, "Forgiveness is a matter of personal conscience. Justice is a matter for all of us." The ceremony ended, but the legacy did not. Aurora Unity Fashion quickly became the top-performing store in the entire mall and a model for equal service retail. The Cole Foundation for Consumer Justice expanded internationally, supporting over 300 lawsuits against discriminatory practices across various industries. Business schools worldwide added the Adrian Cole case to their ethics and leadership curriculum. Before leaving the mall, Adrian stood alone before a massive glass panel, watching the flow of people coming and going. A faint smile crossed his lips. He knew the story had begun with a personal humiliation, but ended with a legacy that an entire generation would carry forward. Dignity is priceless. Discrimination costs everything. These golden words, commissioned by Adrian, were engraved on the store's main wall, and every day, hundreds read them as they step through its doors.